Morning, good evening, good night, wherever it is that you are joining from. My name is Emmanuel, and with me here today it's Saksha from the Somnia team. This is going to be the first of many workshops that we are going to be having. To be very clear, these are going to be very closed events. Why is it that way? It is because we want to get to know our developers in very small clusters. And that way we can interact with you on Discord. So if it's not much of an ask, kindly drop your Discord handles in the chat. And I'm going to be saying hello to everyone on Discord. Just drop your Discord handle in the chats and I'm going to say hello. Yes, Nicolaj. I think I've already mentioned you on Discord. Kindly drop your Discord handles here in the chat, or you can go back on Discord and tag me with a hello. GM Hunting Drop, GM Amando, GM BCRS Legend. It's a delight to have you here, Murad. GM Utopia, GM Hunting Drop. That's an interesting handle. GM. So we are going to be starting the session fully in another 3 minutes. But in the meanwhile, again, kindly drop your Discord handles. And I'm going to be saying hello on Discord. And this also presents an opportunity for us to get to know each other, get to resolve whatever challenges that you may be having with questing. And season 3 is going to be coming very soon. And it's going to be having some developer elements to it. And we want to make sure that this community is ready to take advantage and participate fully in all activities that's going to be happening on the questing side. So keep dropping your Discord handles, JH Pineapple, Alomger, good to have you here. Yes, Murat, good to have you here. If you are just joining in, kindly drop your Discord handle in the comments section here on this call, and I would say hello on Discord. Again, we are preparing for the next section, for the next season of the Quest campaign that's going to be coming up. And we have developer elements for that Quest campaign. So these workshops are designed to be very small clusters, very closed. That way, you get to know more developers who are actively building smart contracts on Somnia and deploying those smart contracts. So just drop your Discord handle and I would say hello on Discord during the call and after the call. GM everyone, it's Manuel and welcome to the workshop 1 of the Somnia Learning Series. This is version 2025 1, the 25th day of January. In this workshop, we are going to be looking at a couple of things in the Somnia ecosystem. And to get into the nitty-gritty of things, we are first of all going to go over blockchain basics. And then we are going to take a look at other challenges that other chains experience that are not issues on Somnia. And then we are going to do a Web 2 versus Web 3 comparison, go on an overview of Somnia, take a look at the multi-stream consensus. And then we are going to talk about projects that you can build on Somnia right now, talk about updates from our developer ecosystem. And then at the end, we are going to be sharing an exclusive updates available to developers in here only. So kindly ensure you stay to the end. We are going to be done in about to the 5 minutes, and then we are going to open the floor up for questions and answers and then have interactions. So rest assured, at the top of the hour, this workshop is going to come to an end. Having said that, let's jump right into it. A couple of basic information. This is something you may already be aware or not be aware of, but I'm not going to gloss over it. Just a couple touch points, and then we are going to jump into what is important for this conversation. Practical differences between Web 2 and Web 3. If you're here and you join in from Discord, I'm already very certain that you know these differences, right? Web 2, practically, users do not own their personal data, while in Web 3, users own their personal data. And then with Web 2, the critical component is the distributed technologies, but with Web 3, we have decentralized technologies. A simple image representation of the difference between distributed and decentralized technologies is what you have on the screen in front of you. On the left, we have what we term distributed technologies, and on the right, we have decentralized technologies. In distributed technologies, you could have various servers hosting products, like take for instance, an application that serves millions of users, where different users have to create accounts, sign up, and then post their data on that service. And a very good example could be a social media service. So with a centralized server, users do not own their data. What that means is that at any point in time, should that service decide to shut down, user could lose their access to their data. And this could sometimes include access to financial data. But in Web3, that is not the case. So like I said, not to gloss so much over it, if you are in here, it means that you practically understand the basics of these components. So with decentralized technology, for Somnia, we are a fork of the Ethereum virtual machine. That means we use a DLT technology where participants run nodes, and for users to be able to place their data on these nodes, right, via these nodes to the DB, they have to pay for gas fees. And as a result, they are guaranteed ownership of their data. So for developers in here, because this call is not a community call, this call is essentially for developers to bring you up to speed on what the expectations are, what we are doing, and then how you can leverage on the opportunities available. So if you have been building applications in Web 2, you do understand communications protocols, and a good example would be the REST protocol. The REST protocol is a standard protocol that uses a number of HTTP verbs to carry out transactions over HTTP. And the verbs are simply referred to as CRUD. That is create, read, update, and delete. So what that means is that for every service on centralized systems, users have the ability to create data, post that data to a database, read that data from the database, update the data, and delete that data. But with Web3, we still have the same process, but slightly different because of the point of ownership of users' data. And with Web3, to be able to interact with the nodes that I mentioned in the decentralized infra in the previous image, we use ROPC methods. I can see you raising, oh, okay, that's a hello, I guess. So you can use the reaction buttons as against raising your hands. There'll be time for questions at the end. So we use ROPC methods, and with ROPC methods, we're able to like take a piece of data, write it on chain, read it from on chain. But with delete, there is a feature called upgradable smart contracts with updates. But with delete for blockchain data, of course, which is why what makes it blockchains, data cannot be destroyed because it's immutable. But you can say token bonding represents an example and make an argument for that, but that is not the topic for today. So moving on, I did mention that we require nodes, RPC node services to be able to interact with the blockchain. This is a graphical representation of that, right? So you have a user interface, it could be mobile, it could be desktop, and then you have a middleware infra, which could be making direct JSON calls via RPC methods, like I showed you earlier, such as add call, which is a read operation, or add set transaction, which is a write operation, or using a library like VM or itas.js to interact with the blockchain, right? So this is the basics of the difference between Web 2, Web 3, the setup of the blockchain infrastructure, and then how users can interact with the blockchain. Moving on, we are going to be going into challenges that are currently being faced by other blockchains using one very common example, right? So common challenges include scalability, and more often than not, this results to network congestion. And when there's network congestion, that is when gas prices become very expensive. An example that comes to mind is the other side meet event. That was a metaverse project, right, connected to BAYC. For using certain images for their PFP, and I hope those are NFT images, right? So as a result of the unprecedented demand for the NFT collection, it led to network congestion. And I'm going to explain why this information is important and how we have solved for it at Somnia in the next slide. So as a result of the network being congested with a lot of people trying to mint NFTs at the same time, of course, things will probably go up. But in a situation where the throughput for the network was high enough, this would have not been any problem at all, right? So that leads me to talking to you about our overview here at Somnia. And it's simple in one sentence. Somnia enables developers to build mass consumer applications. Again, Somnia enables developers to build mass consumer applications. How are we able to do this? Just a very simple comparison with other chains will explain to you how. So this table that you are looking at, it's comparing Somnia against other network using 4 metrics: TPS, finality, latency, and bandwidth. If I still have you engaged, please let me see some reactions to ensure that everyone is still on here. You can send in some thumbs up or some hearts. Let me just, okay. Awesome, 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 awesome. Thank you, Saksham. Awesome, awesome. Thank you, guys. It shows that everyone in here is still engaged and super responsive. Like I said, we are going to be done in under the hour. So moving on, TPS in testing phases, Somnia has already reached numbers such as 400,000 transactions per second. So for context, what that implies is that if you have 400,000 people lined up, right, and you ask all of them to hit a button, right, we have the infrastructure to make sure that when they all hit the button simultaneously, we are able to ensure that whatever response is to be returned to them is received. If the button is a blowhorn that they have to press to have sound, so what that means is that you are not going to hear the sound of some over others. No, you are going to hear it simultaneously. And the sound of some, it's not going to delay over that of others. But with other chains, as you can see from the table, right, Ethereum can only ensure that anywhere from 12 to 25 users got in and response return, which in the case of blockchain and transactions, Solana is able to do 65K a second, Avalanche 4.5K, Cardano 250, and Polkadot 1K. I agree with you along here, BCRs and as well, that is really remarkable and incredible. So given that we have solved for TPS and ensure that that many people are able to carry out their transactions simultaneously, it is also important to make sure that the execution is very, very fast. And that is where finality comes in. Because you could have that many. A very good example would be traffic. Traffic, for instance. The number of cars that the road can accommodate is practically different given the size of the road, right? So if you have a road that can just take 2 lanes, that means you could have 4 cars coming in per time. If you have a road that takes in 10 lanes, that means you can have 10 cars coming in per time. So this would largely influence the time to get to a destination for anyone that is using that road at that particular time. So with finality, you would find out that if you carry out transactions, for anyone here who has gone ahead to deploy a smart contract to Somnia via Remix IDE or using one of our tutorials in the documentation, either for Foundry or hard hat, you would find that when you approve your transactions for MetaMask, right, for the smart contracts to deploy, the response time, it's usually very fast. It feels like you are reading from a Web2 database and not from a Web3 network, right? So with finality, we ensure that you get response in under a second. Ethereum does that in about 6 minutes, Solana 2 seconds, Cardano 20 seconds, and Polkadot 6 seconds. You can see that in terms of performance, we perform better than all of these other guys. Same thing with latency, whereas in sub-seconds, and we're going to be releasing an extensive report very soon for developers to understand more about all of this. And then with bandwidth, which is going to lead us to the next part of this conversation, we have been able to ensure that we have a very optimized bandwidth, right? Where we have a compression technique and a consensus technique that ensures that we are able to accommodate state finality in a very short period of time. But Ethereum is limited. Solana is also very high, but the trade-off with Solana is that there are centralized components to it. And then with other networks, they are quite moderate as compared to us. So moving on. To explain this Somnia network very fast, given the criteria in the table that I shared in the slide before this, couple of things are important to mention, and those things are the state of execution, storage, and consensus, right? Execution is basically how we run smart contracts. Storage is how we use our proprietary database product called IceDB to ensure that we use fast caching return read responses, leading to faster response time, and also for write operations, ensuring that we provide enough bandwidth for changes. But for this talk, we are going to be focusing on our consensus layer, and that is how we reach a consensus state where all states changes, given the number of transactions, are agreed on by the validator. Before going on into the explanation, I'm first of all going to share an image that represents what we call multi-stream consensus. Multi-stream consensus, based off on the Autobahn model. So what you're looking at, it's an image where you have different validators creating individual blocks, right? And what we do, we go to the tip of every block, which is why you can see the image where there is some sort of rectangle on the blocks that is at this point, right? To find which of the validators has solved for finality and that block and add it to the number of blocks the states changes. So just a quick explanation, right? Like I did say, it is based off on the Autobahn paper, where each validator publishes new blocks to their own data chain. And we then separately run the consensus network and then reach consensus on the latest tip of each data chain. And this is done at random so that validators do not feel cheated and so that validators do not feel like the network is taking advantage of their services. And this is how we are also able to achieve speed and scale at those numbers that I shared, right? Coming back to the image again, you can see each validator running their node, pushing blocks of data on chain, and then we go through each block at each tip, making sure that we select the block with the state changes that carries on from the previous state changes. So this is how we are able to achieve very, very, very low throughput. Because it is flowing in parallel streams, we are able to ensure that we look at each validator node and then select the tip on there. But this is not done in parallel format where you have to go through each validator for the no, it is being run asynchronously where we are seeing the response requests across all of the blocks being submitted. So I'm going to take a pause at this point to make sure that I still have you engaged with me and listening in. And I can see the questions already being asked in the chats, but I'm just going to ask by a reaction with thumbs up. The explanation on multi-stream consensus, did everyone get it? Or do I have to explain it again? something. Oh, okay. Tree graph, Manav. I see you thinking about it. I'm going to share, okay. I'm going to share a link to the docs where you can get to read more about it. But um, then again, just to highlight what I said, right? You can see my mouse hovering over the image, right? By show of some reaction. Kindly let me know if you can see my mouse hovering over the image that I'm sharing. Awesome, awesome. So just to walk over it again, we have each validator. In this instance, 4 different validators, right? So in a parallel consensus state, we are going to have these validators, instead of being being in a state where they are side by side, they are actually going to be stacked on each other. So that means once a validator validates a block at a height, the next validator is actually going to validate the next block at the next height, and so on and so forth. So you can see my mouse moving upwards to indicate validation of each block at each state change, right? So that would mean that that network is running in parallel mode, where at every block height, you would have to sequentially validate the blocks and then add them, assign a block number and add them to that block height, right? And then that means the new set of transactions would have to wait for the next block height, leading to lower throughput. So if you're able to validate 100 transactions at this block height, and at the same time, users are carrying out transactions, the next set of transactions would have to wait for the next block height. That is in a sequential state, right? That is in a sequential state. I would want to know if that makes sense to you, Nicola. Tree graph. Awesome. So that is in a sequential parallel state, right? But with multi-stream consensus, what we have done is this. We have created a state where each data is able to create blocks as transactions come in and accept transactions at each of those blocks. And then this rectangle here, right, that encapsulates these blocks here, represents our own algorithm where we go through each of these transactions as they are published at every block, each of these blocks as they are published at every block height. So the way it will operate is, think of it in a spiral mode where we go like this, say from left to right, right? We go like this. Sorry, we go like this, we come like this, right? We go like that, and then we come like this. But in a parallel execution chain, it's going to go from block to block with each validator to block. But with multi-stream consensus, we are able to go through each block that the validator publishes to look for the tip and then add that particular tip to the block. So that means if there are 100K transactions here, 100K transactions here, 100K transactions here, 100K transactions here, we are going to go through these transactions at this block and then reach finality on them, right? Given the hardware requirements that we have, and not break. That is how we are able to hit 400K CPS. So it's practically using the Autobahn model where you have this large highway and then this number of transactions going through. But as against having to wait for these transactions to be in sequential order, you are able to have them move a multi-stream and then being so verify them as part of state changes in parallel. Trigraph, do you now see the multi-stream consensus, how that works? Okay, I can see your questions in the comments. I'm going to answer those questions. Thank you very much for sending those in. So just to keep to time and make sure that we move on, this is how we're able to hit 400k TPS, and this is what makes us faster than other blockchains out there, even at DevNet. We are already at speeds that makes it look like we are at mainnet. I'm going to go over to more sections, and then we'll go into the Q&A. So like I did mention at the beginning of this call, if you are just joining in, kindly drop your Discord handle in the chats of this call. And I'm going to say hello on Discord. We have the season 3 of the Quest campaigns coming on very soon, and there are going to be developer elements to that campaign. And we want as many developers that attend our workshop sessions to have a leg up when it comes to participating in those campaigns, and any rewards, of course, given the requirements that are going to be set out for developers for the next season of the Quest campaigns as well. So in our developer ecosystem, we have full compatibility for ROPC, except for Uncle ROPCs, and those are, of course, no longer relevant. And then in the developer ecosystem, the biggest announcement here is that we have established partnerships with other big names in the EVM ecosystem. Big among them is TEDweb. And right now at DevNet, you can use wallet infra such as MetaMask to interact with Somnia. You can go to our docs, visit the network page, and then you'll find a guide there that will take you to chain list where you can add Somnia to the list of supported networks in your MetaMask if you're yet to do that. Also, you can get some SET tokens from our faucets and be able to deploy smart contracts. The documentation has tutorials that takes you from zero to deploying DAO smart contracts, building user interface for read and write operations. And of course, you are able to use all middleware libraries built on top of Somnia, VM, AWS Foundry. In subsequent sessions, we are going to be having feedback from developers to know what kind of content that you want to see in terms of code labs that you want us to host. We are going to walk you through building, deploying smart contracts, interacting with smart contracts at different levels of difficulty. And with TEDweb now a partner in the Somnia ecosystem, it is my delight to announce to you that account abstraction is already here, and you can already build a gasless experience on top of Somnia. So that announcement is going to be coming out very soon, but you heard it here first. So kindly visit the documentation today, docs.somnia.network, and read the tutorials, understand the technology, and if you have any questions, I'm always available in the chat. Please just tag me at any time of the day, and I will always come back to respond. So moving on, one last section, the kind of applications that we hope that developers such as yourself are going to be building on Somnia. We are looking largely at reactive applications. What do we mean by reactive applications? If you were on the Somnia night on Discord last night, let me see a reaction with thumbs up if you joined Somnia night last night. Okay, Nico missed that. Oh, Alam was there. Oh, Amanda missed that. Oh, BCRS was there. Manav missed it. Murat was there. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Please make sure you look out for the next one in your Discord and be a part of it. So we had Paul yesterday come to speak to us about reactive applications. So typically right now, with the table I shared with you earlier on how Somnia compares to other networks, right? You can see that a lot of other networks have low finality speed. So that means if you carry out an action, such as a click of a button, you would have to wait for about 6 seconds on Ethereum to get a response and 20 seconds on Cardano, on some other chains to be able to get a response, right? But we have been able to achieve sub-zero response time in Somnia. So we are looking for applications that respond to events in real time, but on chain. So that way you can give users an experience where they do not even know that they are building using the blockchain, right? Imagine a use case for gaming where in real time, while a game is going on, users are able to make predictions on if a player, basketball, is going to hit a home run, right? And why that is happening, a player can click a button on their PC to send a transaction that's this player going to hit this ball, and then there's going to be a home run. So between the time that the pitcher pitches the ball and then the batter gets to hit it, that transaction would have already been settled on chain. And given the response of whether the batter was able to hit a home run or not, you can immediately then see that that contract function or that contract method carries out a win or loss response and returns it there. That is how fast Somnia is right now. And we are looking for developers that can come share the experience building applications that demonstrates that speed. So with that, we have come to the end of this session, right? And of course, a lot of people are asking the comments, when testnets? Testnet is coming very soon. Next couple of weeks, an announcement is going to be made, testnet being here. But in the meanwhile, we are going to keep having these workshops to understand what it is that makes Somnia fast, the kind of applications that you can build at Somnia. Some of these are going to be code labs, and we are going to be having your feedback. And also, for those interested in education programs, undergoing training to learn how to code in Solidity, we are going to be having those. And we have a Road to Testnet initiative coming up where we are going to be having in real life events across different cities in the world. So look out for an event that is going to be happening near you. It's going to be an opportunity for you to connect with fellow Somniacs. That said, I have taken notes of all the Discord handles that we are shared in the chat. If you are yet to share yours, please share it right now before we close the call. If you already shared it, you don't have to share again. So I'm copying them and taking notes of them. So expect to hear some kind of message in the developer chats in the coming days. Is it going to come with a reward? Well, you will just have to wait to find out. So having said that, I want to say thank you for making the time to be here. Again, if you haven't shared your Discord, please do. I am going to now go to the charts where I'm copying out the Discord handles that have been shared. And then I am going to read some of the questions in here and answer them. So in the meanwhile, I'm going to give just 2 minutes for people to type in their questions. And then I'm going to take those questions. And in the next 5 minutes, we are going to end today's session. So in the next 2 minutes, please drop your questions in the chat. Okay. Thank you for being in there. So we are going to be wrapping up soon. I'm just going to start answering the questions right now. I have copied all the Discord handles. If you have already submitted your Discord handle, even at the beginning of the call, please do not submit it anymore. I've already copied it. So I'm going to start with the question from Azwadi. How can Somnia manage and minimize risk reduction, especially regarding speed and bandwidth? Example, Solana has experienced network disruption several times despite claiming to have very high speed. That is a very great question, Azwadi. And then I'm just going to share this slide where I did a comparison of Somnia against other chains, right? So with transactions per second, at testing, we have been able to hit 400K transactions, where Solana has hit 65K at max, right? Just for more context to explain to you. So what that means is that if you have 65,000 people in a stadium, and then you need to let all of them out, right? So with Solana, they have built small gates as entrances into that stadium. So that way, when you hit that 65K capacity and you have more people wanting to come in, you would experience issues with bandwidth, right? And then you experience issues with congestion, issues with high gas fees, and of course, the state would slow down, not necessarily crash. It will slow down until enough people get to drop off the network, right? So for us in testing, we have been able to build a unique experience by our proprietary database system called ISDB and using the multi-stream consensus algorithm, which I explained earlier, to explain how we have validators running in parallel, but using the Autobahn model, which we copied from, we run a multi-stream consensus algorithm to find the tip of all the blocks. So that way, transactions keep coming in, right? And at testing, we have been able to hit 400K. So that we have tested that we can do numbers that is almost 7.3 times what Solana is currently doing. So that answers that question, right? Will it be possible to have some near L2s in the future? Well, never say never. That is my response to that. How many validators do you expect to have? Yes, that is information that is going to be made public in the coming days as we get to testnet, right? So we have ongoing conversations with partners that are going to be running validator nodes, but there's going to be an official announcement that is come out regarding that. I have a question. I was wondering if there's enough security or preparation for the hack of contract. Will there be a reward later for those who have done the transactions on DevNet? Well, reward. I wouldn't say how best to answer that question, right? Because when you say reward, I understand that you mean for developers if there are going to be incentives and all of that. Yes, of course, there will be incentives for developers. Right now, we have a grants program running. So if you have not yet applied for that, kindly visit the website sonia.network and go to the section on grants, and you'll be able to take advantage of that. And then in the updates, I did mention that we are looking at hosting more in real life events. So you are going to be seeing us in a city near you, and of course, that will come with its own perks. And attending workshops like this, which is why I did mention that if you've already dropped your Discord handle, no need to drop it anymore. But if you're yet to drop your Discord handle, kindly drop it. So with the speed of 400k TPS, it's very possible to use for private devices to keep up. It is reduced. No, of course not. Of course not. Like I said, we have validators that want to come work with us already, and we'll be onboarding a whole lot more. It is our hope and interest that we find unique use cases that will bring the experience that we currently have with Web2 to Somnia. And if you are in here and you have ideas like that, please kindly come build with us. Hong Kong on Deva, well, you would have to keep your eyes peeled on Discord for an announcement. Yes, Somnia Learning interns, what can a person apply for an internship? Right now, we are not hiring, right? But you can always keep your eyes peeled out on the careers page for all of that information. Yes, Murat, you have been very attentive during the course of this call, and I have taken your notes of your Discord handle. Yes, testnet is going to be coming soon. Oh, okay. You end on boundary point and play games of better. Now your points have disappeared. Yes, the engineering team is actually resolving that, and I think the ETA to fix is this week. Yes, I answered the question on Solana experiencing network disruption, saying that we perform at 7.3 times the speed, the transactions per seconds of Solana. Yes, again, on the internship program, keep your eyes peeled on the job board. The proof is in the eating. Of course, you are going to have the pudding served to you very soon when you see the number of projects that are going to be onboarded to Sonia, and you will test it for yourself. How will 400k TPS be used in the metaverse? Why do we need this fast speed in the metaverse? Well, this is where the components of a reactive experience on the blockchain comes in, right? Like I explained with the basketball explanation. Same thing using, say, football explanation. Somebody wants to hit a penalty, and keeper is on the goalpost, and you have an application where you want to stake if he's going to score or if the keeper is going to stop the ball, right? Between the points where you hit that button, if it's a World Cup experience, you have millions of users watching at that time. So we have been able to build an infrastructure. If even a metaverse experience, you are able to immediately send that object, right, for developer speak, send that request, and then be able to like get a response from the point the player kicks the ball up until the point where the goalkeeper stops it or where it gets into the net, right? So we have been able to solve for that, and of course we expect developers to bring that experience to the metaverse. Yes, of course, hackathon is going to be coming up this quarter. Yes, of course, we're talking to validator node partners. You'll be hearing announcements in that regard. When testnets very soon in Topia, I've already taken your Discord handle. Yes, of course, we are looking for developers to come build the paying applications. If you are one of those, you can, deploy your smart contracts already. So I think I have copied all of the Discord handles, everyone in here. I said, watch out for updates from us in the past regarding those that attended and for the quests, of course. And this is one of the ways that we are also going to be offering incentives as well. So these calls are strictly developer related and not for having token information. So I want to say a massive thank you to everyone for taking time to come be a part of this session. We are going to be having more of this in the coming days and months. And after this call, you are going to receive a feedback form. Kindly fill the feedback form, because feedback is one way we understand how to make these sessions better. And we look forward to hearing from you. And we look forward to having you in the next session. We look forward to what it is that you're going to be building on training. Please, if you have any questions, I'm always there in the Discord. I mean, I was always there in the Discord. Ask your questions any time of the day. We'll always make sure that we respond. And if you have any challenges, technical challenges building, you can go to the docs.somnia.network. Go to the tutorial session. We have guides there that developers can rely on and go from building basic ERC20 token to building DAO contracts and then building user interfaces. Doc Player, you are lucky. We are able to, about rounding of the call, and then you dropped your Discord handle. Awesome. So I'm going to just run through the Discord handles that I have copied. If I missed yours, I'm just going to give you an opportunity to type it in the comments before we bring this session to an end. So I have, please kindly listen. I have Nicolaj Sambo 024 OXC99XXX_days, Murat _Lim, JH_IPO, Alam Giberi Pari 0, Super Kukui, Mtopia, Judge 0067, Arabom 0, Vita 5000, Pintu Rezeki, Manav B01, Dotran.bnb, Proposil 234, Parasani in one dots, AD King, Jenny 341, Slime 5111, Marine Boy 888, AD_King 777, I think that's still at King, Song #059, Jean Hick, and dog.player. Awesome. So I got everyone. I don't think I missed anyone. With wallet infra, there's going to be an announcement coming regarding that. Armsverse. Okay, yes, I think I missed Armsverse. I am going to copy that and add it right now. Arabom, I didn't miss Arabom. Arabom 0. Awesome. Thank you very much, guys. We have come to the end of today's session. It has been an amazing time with you, being your hosts in here. And thank you also to Saksham for being in here as well. Looking forward to this next section. And GN, everyone.
GM.